Imagine not having almost anything to eat at home, and still sharing the little that is left with those who have even less. This is the story of Ana Clara, a woman who, even at the bottom of scarcity, chose to be generous. She never imagined that that small gesture of kindness would be the beginning of one of the greatest blessings of her life. Prepare your heart. This is a story of faith, overcoming, and proof that good always comes back. Ana Clara was 29 years old and lived in a simple house with only 2 rooms on the outskirts of the city. Her husband, Jolo, had been away for almost a year looking for work in another region, and the news was rare and short. She was raising their 2 small children alone, Lucas, 6 years old, and Sophia, 4 years old. The money that came in was barely enough to pay the rent and the electricity bill at the end of the month. In the almost empty pantry there was only a small packet of rice, a few handfuls of beans, and a little cassava flour. Every day she performed real miracles with very little. She cooked a small pot, divided it into 3 modest plates, and tried to make it last as much as possible. The children ate first, with their little eyes shining even with small portions. Then she ate what was left, often just the broth or a few grains. But Ana Clara did not complain out loud. She taught her children that gratitude was more important than abundance. On the other side of the street lived her neighbor Rosa, a single mother of 3 little girls. Rosa was in an even worse situation. Her husband had disappeared months ago, and she didn't even have the basics to put on the table. Ana Clara saw the skinny little girls playing barefoot on the dirt sidewalk, and her heart tightened with compassion. Every night, before going to sleep, she carefully separated a little of what she had cooked, a handful of rice, a small piece of bread, or a few spoons of beans. She crossed the street discreetly and handed the plate to Rosa. "It's not much, but here." "The girls need to eat," she said with a soft and sincere smile. Rosa always received it with teary eyes and thanked her with a voice choked with emotion. Ana Clara returned home with an even emptier stomach, but her heart strangely full of peace. She didn't know that that simple and repeated gesture was being watched by something greater, and that her silent generosity would completely change the course of her life and her family's life. The days became increasingly difficult and heavy for Ana Clara. Some nights she went to bed completely, without eating anything, so that her children could have a little more on their plates. She was visibly losing weight every week that passed. Her clothes became loose on her body, and deep dark circles marked her tired face. Even so, every time Rosa knocked on the door with a desperate look, Ana Clara found the strength to share what she had. Once there was only half a cup of rice left for the whole day for the family. She cooked it with care, served the children, and separated a very small portion for Rosa's girls. When the neighbor came to thank her once again, Ana Clara said only in a calm voice, "God will provide, Rosa. As long as I have a little, you will have it too." Ana Clara's children began to notice and asked innocently, "Mommy, why do you give our food to Aunt Rosa's girls?" She answered with affection, sitting them on her lap. "Because helping those in need is the only wealth that no one can take from us, my children." Rosa never knew how much hunger Ana Clara endured to be able to help. She only saw a kind neighbor who never refused a plate, even on the hardest days. Ana Clara continued working as a day laborer, washing clothes for others and cleaning houses to bring in some extra money. But the little she earned was barely enough for basic survival. She felt she was reaching the limit of her physical and emotional strength. Despair began to knock loudly at the door of her heart, and it was exactly at this moment of greatest fragility that life prepared a surprise that no one could imagine. The hardest day arrived, when the pantry became completely empty. There was no more rice, no beans, no flour, nothing. Ana Clara looked at her children with hunger in their little eyes, and felt her chest tighten with anguish. She prayed softly in the room, asking for strength to continue. That same afternoon, Rosa knocked on the door again, with her 3 girls beside her, all with weary faces. "Clara, the girls haven't eaten since yesterday. Do you have just a little for them?" Ana Clara felt her eyes fill with tears immediately. Inside the house, there was only a small piece of bread that she had saved for her children's dinner. She took a deep breath, broke the bread in half with trembling hands, and handed half to Rosa. It's all I have today. Share it with the girls, and may God bless you." Rosa cried as she received the piece of bread and hugged Ana Clara tightly. When the neighbor left, Ana Clara sat on the cold kitchen floor and cried silently, covering her face. Her children ate the other half of the bread and asked worriedly if Mommy wasn't going to eat anything. She smiled weakly, trying to hide the pain. "Today Mommy isn't hungry, my loves." That night, lying on the narrow bed, Ana Clara thought she couldn't take it anymore. She felt she had reached the deepest bottom of the pit. She had nothing left to give, neither for herself nor for others. The despair was great and suffocating, but something inside her, a small and persistent voice, still whispered with affection, "Keep doing good. Trust. Don't give up." She had no idea that, hundreds of kilometers away, a great change was on its way and would change everything. Morning, a beautiful new car stopped in front of Rosa's simple house. It was her husband, Marcos, who had disappeared more than a year ago. He returned completely different, well-dressed, with a large suitcase and a wide smile on his face. He told them emotionally that he had found a job opportunity in another city, fought hard, faced difficulties, and after much effort and dedication, managed to set up a small construction business that succeeded. He was back rich, with enough money to buy a better house and never go without again. Rosa ran to hug him, crying with joy and relief. The girls jumped into their father's lap, whom they barely recognized after so much time. Marcos, still hugging his family, asked how they had survived all that time alone. Rosa, still emotional and with tears in her eyes, told the whole truth about Ana Clara. She said that the neighbor, even going through a lot of hunger, shared the little she had every week without ever complaining. That thanks to Ana Clara's generous plates, the girls did not die of starvation. Marcos was deeply touched and remained silent for a few seconds. He asked for Ana Clara's exact address and said he wanted to thank her personally. Rosa warned with concern. "She is very bad, Marcos. She has been going hungry for several weeks." That same day, Marcos crossed the street carrying several heavy bags full of food. Ana Clara opened the door, thin, tired, but with the same kind and serene look as always. And there, in that simple moment, the greatest turnaround of her life began. Marcos entered Ana Clara's simple house and was impressed by the level of poverty. He saw the skinny children, the completely empty pantry, and the expression of exhaustion on her face. Without saying much at first, he placed all the heavy bags on the kitchen table. Rice, beans, meat, milk, fruits, fresh bread, and several other items. Ana Clara immediately started crying, unable to hold back the tears. "I can't accept this. I have no way to pay for any of this." Marcos held her hands firmly and said in an emotional voice, "You don't need to pay anything, Ana Clara. For a whole year you fed my family when I wasn't here. Now it's my turn to repay with gratitude." He didn't stop there. The next day, he took Ana Clara and the children shopping for new clothes and shoes. He paid the 3 months of overdue rent and even left extra money for expenses. And most importantly, he offered a stable and well-paid job to João, her husband, who was returning from his trip. Marcos said he needed trustworthy people in his fast-growing construction company. Ana Clara could barely believe what was happening before her eyes. The neighbor she had helped with so little was now extending a generous hand and completely changing her reality. For the first time in a long time, she saw her children eat until they felt satisfied and happy, and she felt her heart overflow with a gratitude that didn't fit in her chest. With her husband Joe's steady and good job and Marcus's generous help, Ana Clara's life changed quickly. They managed to move to a larger, more comfortable, and safer house in the same area. The children started gaining weight again, smiling openly, and playing with health and energy. Ana Clara started working part-time at a local daycare, fulfilling her old dream of caring for and educating small children. She never forgot where she came from or the difficulties she went through. Every month, she set aside part of her salary to help other families who were still in need in the neighborhood. Rosa and Marcos became like a true family to them. The children from both houses grew up together, playing in the street like brothers and sisters. Ana Clara looked back with teary eyes and saw how a small, repeated gesture of sharing a plate of food had multiplied into so many blessings. She learned in practice that generosity is not just giving what is left over. It is giving even when you almost have nothing. Her faith and her kindness were rewarded in an extraordinary and beautiful way. The woman who almost had nothing to eat now had enough to share again, and with a lot of joy in her heart. 1 year later, Marcos organized a special lunch at the new house he bought for the family. He invited Ana Clara, Joho, and the children with affection. During the abundant and joyful lunch, he stood up and made an emotional speech to everyone. He told in detail how Ana Clara had saved his family without ever asking for anything in return. He said that small daily gesture of kindness done with the heart made all the difference in the world. Rosa cried beside her husband, thanking once again with a choked voice. Ana Clara, with tears in her eyes and a full heart, spoke only with simplicity. I just did what my heart commanded. I never imagined that God would use my little to do so much. From that day on, the story began to spread quickly throughout the entire neighborhood. Many people who knew Ana Clara began to respect her deeply and to seek her out for advice and prayers. She became a living and inspiring example that generosity, even in the greatest scarcity, is never in vain. Today, Ana Clara lives with her family in peace, security, and harmony. The house is simple, but now it is full of food, laughter, play, and a lot of gratitude every day. She continues to help those in need, now with more resources and tranquility. She always says to her children with wisdom, don't wait to have a lot to start giving. The miracle begins exactly when you share the little with true love. Small gestures made with the heart are never lost in the universe. Even when you think you have nothing left to offer, a plate of food, a word of comfort, or a little time can change someone's destiny, and your own destiny as well. Life has a mysterious, beautiful, and fair way of returning multiplied what we give with sincerity. Don't wait to be full to be generous. Be generous precisely when you are empty. It is there, at the bottom of scarcity, that the greatest miracle happens. If this story touched your heart deeply, leave your like now. Write in the comments what you would do in Ana Clara's place. Have you ever experienced or witnessed a small gesture that changed everything? Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell to receive more real stories of overcoming, faith, and transformation. Share this video with someone who needs to believe that good always comes back. Your story is still being written. Keep doing good. And